Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today it's finally time to announce the next variation of Excalibur. This is the Vertilock Excalibur. We're going to take a look at it. I'm going to answer a lot of questions. There's a lot of information in this video. And also keep in mind that these are prototypes. Now, when is the pre-order going to go live? It's going to go live on November 11th, and I'll have the appropriate link right down in the description so that you guys will be able to go there on November 11th and actually pre-order this thing. So we have some interesting details about this knife. Number one, it is way less expensive, and this is because it is less expensive to make this time around. It's not an integral. Version 1 of Excalibur was an integral, and that made it a lot more expensive. It also was utilizing Vanax steel. Now, we always plan to make a less expensive version, and this less expensive version is a two-piece construction, and instead of Vanax, we're going to go with Elmax, but it also has, of course, the Vertilock. This entire combination makes the knife substantially less expensive. Instead of $400 to $425, we're shooting for $220 to $250. And I will say right off the bat, yes, we are definitely going to make a left-handed variation. I wanted to kind of get those details right up front before I showed the knife because I've got 3 variations of this thing that are going to make you guys super excited. I do want you to keep in mind that everything is subject to change, including the box and packaging. Yours will not be shipped like this, and these knives are still prototypes, so there's going to be sometimes wild changes to some of these, but it's going to be really exciting, and I can't wait to talk about this stuff. Thanks so much to Kunwu and Sergio for making this happen. I could not be happier. They are so cool. They're so exciting. This is the Vertilock Excalibur. So you can see here we have a full titanium frame. On this one, we still have the Damascus pivot collar. In this case, we have a fully stonewashed frame and blade. And then on the other side, it's also solid, no more exposed frame lock for these variations. And then you have access to that awesome Vertilock right there. Very familiar. If you're a fan of how Spyderco knives operate with their compression lock, you will absolutely love the Vertilock. I am so excited. It just feels absolutely incredible. Access to it is opened up. It's just great. Yes, it is exactly the same size as the original Excalibur. Here's my original Excalibur with the integral frame. And if you're wondering, yes, we will still make integral Excalibur. If you still want an OG Excalibur in the future, yes, we're not discontinuing this. It is absolutely still going to be there in the same, different configurations that are available. But this allows people who looked at that $400 to $425 price tag, and whether you realized it was an integral or not. I don't think a lot of people realize that this was an integral. But you might look at that and go, I don't really care if it's an integral, and I don't necessarily need Vanax, so that price tag is just way too much for me. And we have always understood that. From the start, we thought, well, we need to make many different variations of this knife so that people with different budgets, can maybe afford different variations of it. So this being, depending on the variation that you get, and we're going to talk about some different variations here with these other 2 boxes, but depending on the variation that you get, it'll be right about between $220 and $250, which I think just makes it substantially, more accessible. Everything else is the same. It's the same pocket clip, the thumb studs, all of that. And yes, you will have options for texturing. This time we have included an option to have smooth. It's actually kind of an orange peel. We'll get to look at that. But you do have that option to go smooth this time, and then there'll be some other texture options, including the diamond pattern there. But really excited. There is no change in the overall quality and execution of it. It is simply the way it is constructed and what we made the blade out of that allows it to cost us. Since with it not being an integral, that is way less time spent on a machine. Milling a single block of titanium is far more expensive than 2 separate pieces. We do have weight reduction there. Of course, weight is subject to change with the knife itself, being something that's going to change. And speaking of change and new variations, the second one here I want to show you is really exciting. This version here is actually a carbon fiber Excalibur, which is super cool. This dramatically reduces the weight of Excalibur. Of course, you will have a satin finish option. And you are not locked, like with carbon fiber, you're not locked to a satin blade. If you're wondering, are you going to do DLC versions? Are you going to do, can I get a carbon fiber with this finish? The answer is yes. right? You're going to have so many different options as far as your blade, whether it is coated or not coated, stonewash, satin, whatever, right? You're going to have those options, and then the texturing options, of course, as well. With the carbon fiber, though, you won't have any texture options with the carbon fiber as far as I know. I could be wrong with that, but as far as I know, it's just going to be carbon fiber. Now, this one is going to change. The internals here are going to change because of how this stop pin interacts with the inside. So again, this is a prototype. Everything that you're seeing here on this guy, not everything, but a lot of the internals and how this this lock interacts with the pin and how the pin interacts with the frame. We are going to be beefing it up a little bit since it is carbon fiber. This guy, not so much of a problem because it's all titanium and everything, but this guy with it being carbon fiber, we are going to have to make a few changes on the inside so that every time that lock hits that stop pin or the blade hits the stop pin, you have all of that extra reinforcement that you need. Now, the actual stop pin on these guys, the open position stop pin is not visible, and that's because it is on the inside. It's 2 pegs attached to the blade, and those have surfaces that they interact with in order to lock the blade out, so you're not actually able to see it. And then your closed position stop pin is actually that Vertilock, and yes, it does impact way back away from the cutting edge so that we're not, limiting the life of the cutting edge or anything like that. It has a substantial edge life in terms of sharpening over time. But again, that actually could be moved back even further. That would be a ridiculous amount of material to sharpen away. So you wouldn't have to worry about it either way. But my point is that there's lots and lots that's going to change, and there's tons of additional options that are going to be available that you are not seeing here today. But I think the third, and potentially for some of you the most exciting part of this announcement is now what's going to be available, the Mini Excalibur. This guy, instead of 8.5 inches, that's what we're looking at here with the full-size one. Instead of 8.5 inches, we have an option now for 7.5 inches. I think, and this was my plan all along, I didn't want to go too small. I wanted it to feel like that sort of right there, middle of the road, medium knife. You'll have an option for a 7.5 inch version with a 3.25 inch blade. Again, in this case, we have titanium, and here's an example, a better example of that orange peel finish that will be available to you if you want it. I think it looks really, really good. But you'll also have the option to go with carbon fiber on this little guy, making it the lightest weight version of Excalibur that we've ever made, which is really, really cool. And then, of course, your same, different finishes, your stonewash, your satin, your DLC will have all of that available and all of your different texture patterns as well. And, of course, again, left and right-handed. I have to say that over and over and over again. Last time people just missed that completely. We will have left-handed variations of this knife, not just where the pocket clip is mounted. Obviously, if you are left-handed and you want a right-handed operating Vertilock, and then you want to put this in your left-hand pocket, we give you that option. We give people that option, but we will also make versions of these knives where the lock is positioned specifically for left-handed people. And I have to make that super, super clear. If you go down into the comments and you see people confused because they didn't watch the whole video, please correct them. We want people to know we are catering to as many different people as possible with this. That's the whole idea with the different weight options, the different size options, and of course, reducing the price. The LMAX, of course, is going to be heat treated properly. This is Kunwu. They don't cut corners on that. I chose LMAX because I thought as far as all the different steels options that we could have used that are still super steels and still good performers, but they cost less than Vanex, I thought LMAX was a really good choice. It's still a very, very stainless steel. It has edge retention that's kind of like somewhere between S45VN and M390. It's also reasonably tough and not an absolute nightmare to sharpen. I think this is a really, really great steel. And I didn't want to do, kind of like everything else is either MagnaCut or M390. And I thought, I've really enjoyed LMAX. I think that's a good one there. I think people will really, really enjoy it. And it should actually get better. I'm sorry, it'll have better edge retention than the original Vanex, right? And Vanex, of course, is more expensive. It's more expensive to create, but it's got different properties and different purposes and things like that. But if you're a big, stickler for edge retention and you want to pick up my knife, well, the less expensive version of it is actually going to have superior edge retention. Everything else is the same, like your blade geometry. This is my user here, so it's kind of dirtied up. your blade geometry and everything like that is still the same. The thickness and contouring of the scales is the same. They just weigh less because this, of course, is an integral, one solid piece here, and this one is a two-piece construction. I want to make one little note in here that I forgot to do when I recorded the original video. The thickness between the full-size variation and the Excalibur Mini is a little bit different. We still have the exact same thickness of Excalibur here. It's the same thickness as the original, and if you've never seen that, I'll go ahead and show you guys here real quick. 135 thousandths, basically the middle of the road for the knife world on the full-size one. Now, the Mini is slightly thinner. It's going to be 125 thousandths. So, yes, 135 for the large one and 125 thousandths. I'm sorry, 125 thousandths for the Mini, so just a little bit different there. Everything else, though, the same. It still feels nice and beefy. But anyways, back to the video. I still wanted it to feel like Excalibur, so if you go with titanium, with the little guy, it's going to feel fairly beefy. If you want to lighten it up a little bit, you know, go with the carbon fiber. But it still feels incredibly solid. It doesn't feel like a different knife. It feels like Excalibur, just scaled down a little bit, definitely. I am so unbelievably excited about this release. I feel like a lot of the things that I wanted to do with Excalibur that you know, were just not possible because we were going with this initial you know, like this kind of Gen 1 super build with the Vanax and the Integral. Being able to utilize this locking system is so incredibly awesome. I love this. I've always enjoyed the position of this lock, given that your fingers are completely and totally out of the way while you're disengaging it. By the way, the detent on this feels absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And if you're wondering, like, hey, the stop position looks different, and that's because, again, we are not using the thumb studs as the stops on this guy. On the original, the thumb studs were the stops. We are not doing that on this one. The stops are, it actually functions the same way because it's still two pegs attached to the blade interacting with the frame. It's just that it's happening on the inside and you're not seeing it out here with the studs here. So you won't see any impact marks or anything like that because nothing is actually touching. You can see here on this guy, we've got those little itty bitty impact marks right there on the frame. Because this is happening now internally, you will not see that. Lost my train of thought there, but action on these guys is spectacular. Everything still feels the same. It's just a different package. The locking system is in a different place. I think it's actually better. And then the way it's constructed and the blade material is different. I could not be happier. The way that this has been executed by Kunwu and Sergio, and the effort that Sergio and his crew have put into this to make this possible is just absolutely insane. They had, you know, obviously everything has been flip-flopped upside down all over the world, and doing stuff like this is very, very difficult. It's not something that can be done with the snap of a finger. And you know, I know I was teasing midsummer that I was going to make the announcement, and here we are now in late October finally making this announcement, and that is because there were setbacks. It was just not an easy thing to do, and I said, well, we don't want to rush this. Let's get it right. And man, did they get it right. We are so pumped. We're going to be able to make a lot of these. You guys are going to be able to get the versions that you want. I hope that I have covered everything that you know, I meant to cover, that you guys wanted me to cover. Ergonomically, they just feel like an absolute dream, including the small one. There's plenty of room without there being a flipper tab there, which I know you guys bring that up, wanting a version of it that might be a flipper, and you know, maybe something down the road. But it's everything that I love about Excalibur. It's just now with the locking system in that new position, it is just so wonderful. And yes, very strong locking systems. Now these are prototypes, of course, so you know, the production versions are going to be even better. But as far as you guys have seen the is that good enough? Okay. You guys have seen like the other Kunwu knife with the Vertilock, and it's had plenty of testing. Now this, of course, is not like you know, the triad lock or anything like that. But this is a substantial locking system. It's very, very strong, and they went through a ton of testing with this lock on various knives, including Excalibur, to make sure that this was going to hold up and it was going to work. I love that we can now go out and really use Excalibur if you want to. If you want to collect, you want to put it up on your mantle and just look at it, hey, that's perfectly fine. No judgment from me. But if you want to take this knife out and use it, right, if that was your plan with this guy, it's going to be a lot easier to do, not only because the price is lower, but because that locking system is in a completely different place and we no longer have to worry about squeezing the frame lock into the frame. That doesn't make this guy bad or anything like that, but the lock is completely concealed within the frame, meaning you are free to squeeze on it or use it however you want. And because it is, and I'm not coming down on button-operated compression locks or anything like that, button-operated top liner locks, button-operated locks of any kind, because we did not do a button, there is no way to accidentally disengage it. You have to deliberately pinch right here, which is very hard to do accidentally. So you can take these things out and use them, and rest assured that, of course, while doing normal knife tasks, that lock is going to hold up. I am so excited. No corners were cut. We're keeping all of the cool stuff here, like the pivot collars with the Timascus and everything like that. And, there may even be a couple of surprise options. So make sure that you check, and I will obviously do a video on November 11th to make sure that you guys, are aware on that drop date. But go ahead and put your, put it in your calendar or make a note or something like that. But that's going to be the date. November 11th, you'll be able to pre-order it. And then we're going to try and ship as fast as possible. You guys, if you were part of the first pre-order last time, it does take a bit. It's not something that's going to ship to your house, immediately, but we are going to try and go a little bit faster this time and get you guys your knives a little quicker. So yeah, I think that's essentially it. Please let me know if I left something out. If you have a question that I did not answer, it's hard to try and get everything in one video. Really looking forward to getting this into people's hands. I'm also really looking forward to checking out some of the other variations, the other combinations that I'm not able to show today. I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg in terms of combinations and different aesthetics that will be available. They're going to try and just make an absolute ton of different configurations. So really, really exciting stuff. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this. I'm talking to you guys, my viewers. Thank you so much for putting me in a position where I can do this. I am so beside myself. It is flabbergasting. So really, really thankful to have an awesome community of people who have allowed me to do this. It brings me so much joy. The first Excalibur was so awesome, and I'm so happy that people enjoy it. And for a lot of you might say, hey, the version 1 was the one that I wanted and I got it and I'm good, but for people who, would have preferred a different locking system or a non-integral frame or a knife that doesn't have a frame lock, I hope that this version is everything that you dreamed of. I hope that it makes it that much more desirable for you, or perhaps the smaller one. This is so cool. Project Excalibur is far from over. Obviously, we have lots and lots of things planned in the future. This is Vertilock Excalibur, and I really hope that you guys like it. Thanks again. Thanks again to Kunwu. I'm just rambling at this point. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Please ask questions. I will be down there answering, as well as Sergio will be down there answering your questions. So thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.